Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's November 13th. This will be our chart lesson for today. Pretty much looked like a trading range through, well, when we broke lower here, it was questionable, but when we started lower here till right into the prior to the noon hour, right into the noon hour, it looked like a trading range. And I still believe it is a trading range. I believe we just dropped another measured tier down, went a little bit further than a measured tier, and now we're working back up. You can see this, the larger yellow line is the close, the previous day's close. Um, and you can see we closed right there yesterday. And so if we close anywhere around that, we're pretty much going to have the day's going to be unchanged. And so we got maybe 35, 40 minutes left in the trading day. So we could end up down, up, or maybe even unchanged. I would say we're probably going to be slightly up to slightly down, or maybe unchanged, because you see we're trading right at where we closed yesterday. So we'll see what it does. But this was what I was looking at early on, and once we broke lower, I'd be looking for a measured move compared to this channel like that. And that gets you to right there. You can see we bounced right there around 20, 28, 50 or 75 or so. But if you also wanted to look for a measured leg like so, and you see we missed that by maybe a tick or two. So a couple of different ways to get you into this ballpark area right here. And that's how we do it. We look for those measured moves. The market does, there is such thing as what I call market geometry. And if you watch any of our videos, you see we're able to pick these kind of targets quite often. And when we were going higher on this move, once you got your correction, you might look for a measured move to here for this leg. Notice we didn't quite get there, and you had that little double test rule, and man, look at it go afterwards. So that was a good indicator when you had that double test rule and you didn't quite make your measured target. And you could have also looked at this first leg from here to here, and then look for your second leg. And again, it did not make it. And so that's generally, if the rules tell us if you don't make it and you get a reversal, that it's likely to go much further in the other direction. But a lot of times it'll look like a reversal and may not be one, and you may continue higher. So you can't really trade off of that. It gives you logical places where to expect the market to be working towards. But obviously, if you get a reversal pattern prior to that, you got to pay attention to it. And then it also alerts you to be prepared to exit. If you get there in that area and you've already had a break and a new low, or a break of the trend line or something in a new low, that kind of thing. So it's just an extra tool that you can keep in your toolbox to, keep you on the right track. Again, you don't make trades based off of that. You can see that previous support and resistance is kind of holding prices, or trying to right there. We'll see what ends up happening. But anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Let's talk about the trades. Not a lot of them today. Again, the ones during the sell-off are some really good setups here with some nice moves. This was the moves of the day. And I didn't trade part of the day or most of the day because my internet was out today. I don't know if it was when I called to check on it, they said it was a network error somewhere in my area. So I don't know if it was just locally here or regional or whatever. So, but somebody else made a comment that they had internet problems all day yesterday as well. I use AT&T Uverse, so again, I don't know if it's something regionally or just something locally here or what, but that's my trading up for the most part for the day. So, but anyway, let's talk about the trades and we'll move on, wrap this thing up. But early on, When we bounced right in here and you're working higher, you figure you're looking at a range and you got your clear little trend channel down here. You got a break and you got two attempts to go lower and then it reverses and then you got one going up. You get your break, you move to a new high. You got your one coming down, you get your break, you move to a new low, and now you got one moving up. And so all of these were real clear. Even the shorter term ones, you get the break here, move to a new low. You get the break here, move to a new high. So, even the short term ones I've got drawn, they're real obvious. So nothing too difficult to find or see today. Um, so anyway, let me talk about the trades. This one was kind of interesting because it's tempting to want to go short right here on the second entry short. But notice that signal bar, not a very good signal bar. And so if you waited on this signal bar, um, even it didn't close on its low. And then by that time, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars stacked up there in a row. A couple of up down bars of doji. And, this is acting as strong support. You got a little higher low. So I really don't see how you want to go short right there. But if you did go short, you just got to reverse. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because you're thinking we're going to get a new low. But when you just don't get a very good setup, it's usually, especially into support, and you can see that was resistance for yesterday. So it's acting as support today across there. And so that was an important reason to know that's a reason to know that this is an important price level and just to be very careful going short into it. But when it bounced and turned up, you got a second entry long, but better than that, you got a failed second entry short. Notice that new low, first entry pullback, second entry. And it's that little double test rule of this area. And really all this was the breakout retest of this area. Usually when prices break out of an area like that, they always come back and retest it. And notice we hadn't done that all the way up. And so then we come back and we retest it a couple of times, then we go higher. And that's what prices do. They just continually test and retest support and resistance. And it either holds and prices reverse, or it gives away and prices go low, go the other way. So now you're working up. You got a trend line right there off those first couple of swings, and you get a two-legged pull back into it. There's actually a second entry long right there. Not a very good setup, though. Again, so I think you're better off if it breaks higher, you got to try to use a limit order here, but you're really better off to wait. Even though that's a trend line and it did hold, I think you want to wait and start over and take a second entry off this side, and you got that right there. And so notice how it bounces right off that trend line again, and that was a nice move up. And then it corrects, it hits the other side, and it's coming back. And it was tempting to go long right here, but that's a first entry, and you did get a close outside here, and that's just all. So just, you really just got to wait. If you went long there, that the only reason you could say that it's tempting because it's right off that trend line, but you got to remember this is kind of the midpoint here of a big move, and you're working up and you're looking for a long for a retest anyway, even with a break there. But generally you're going to get a couple of legs down, and that's just a two. If you measure that, you'll see that this is almost a perfect measured leg. And so this is your second entry, and I even drew it in green because it's not a very good setup. It's not a perfect setup bar. You did get your break and your new low, but a lot of times you'll try to go lower twice. But aggressive traders probably going to go long right there on that second entry. It was real close to being a perfect, a stronger bullish bar. If it could have closed one tick, and that could have just been, when it's going back and forth, bid ask, bid ask, bid ask, it could have easily closed up just as easy as it closed down. I mean, if it's more than a tick, that's one thing. But just one tick, sometimes that could just be timing. But there's some buying going on right there. So an aggressive trader is probably going to consider that one. But you're generally better to wait and see if you get a second entry, counting off these lows. And so there's your first move up or your first entry. You pull back in your second entries right here. Again, I don't like this bar, but it is a second entry. So if you're going to take this one, and you are looking for a new long too, and notice how this is support and resistance, and how prices are closed right back inside there and open back up and tested it again and then went higher. So on a break above this, above that rail, when um, you might drop a limit order in there and see what happens. But I think you're better off to wait on this one and let it break and see if you can get a little better entry. And you assume you're making a push to a new high, to your last high, which is right here. And actually, there were a bunch of touches across there. So I was looking at that possibly being the high of the range, but it just goes on up. And so you're looking for the next highs, the actual highs up here where you got this little double top. And even though that goes higher, this is still a double top. Uh, for all intent and purposes, it's still a double top. So, but then you get the little failed second entry short that reverses, and actually that one should have been blue. I like that one because now you've tried to go lower twice and failed, and you know you're going to hit this, but you're probably headed up here, and that's exactly where it goes. And it would be real tempting to go short here, but that's not a very good setup bar, so I think you got to wait on the second entry. And guess what? You don't get that till way down here. And then I think even though it worked, I think it's too risky to go short right there. The only way you might consider going short there is if you saw the shorter term. There's a short term trend in there too. And if you saw that, and you saw that little turn down off of that line, then yeah, maybe you might consider going short there. But it'd definitely be green if you did. I don't like it. It's moved too far. It's too, things are too far away from the EMA, have been. And there is a little room to right here. You see it bounce there, basically. So there's some reasons to consider that one. I'll leave it green, but then you get a move back up and it turns down. And again, it's not a very good setup right there, so just wait and see if you get a second entry and it comes right here. You didn't break higher, but notice that's a higher low. And it, again, everything's closing right on that trend line. And so I like that one, figuring you're going to at least retest that, but but since it's coming off the main trend line, you hope you might get a measured leg like that. You don't quite get that, but you still get a very nice move down. And this was a nice move. And then now you're correct and you get a break. It was tempting to go long right here, but you don't have a new low yet. So I think you just got to sit and wait on the new high before. And then I want to talk about this one. This one is one that really could trip you up. Because notice you got one leg up, pull back, and you got a second leg up. And that's a measured leg up. And look how bearish that bar is right there. The only real clues that you might have an issue is that's that support area, and it was acting as resistance, and it closed above it. So even though it's a bearish bar, it's it's still acting as support, and there's a good chance you get back in that range and go higher. So, but there's enough reasons that a lot of people would probably try that one, and if it did, you got stopped out on that one. Even if you used 2 ticks, you got stopped out on that one. And then I don't think you want to go short right there either. But when you get this bigger bearish bar right there, I liked it. And so I liked going short right there. And again, on that one, if you got tricked there, you just got tricked. There's not much you can say. And really what happened, there was some news that came out. The Fed came out, and you can see that big move down. But it was really already obvious that something was going on. And there's probably even a bigger trend working right across here, like so. And so that's a possibility as well. You can see that coming right off those bottom two. And if you drug it over here, that would have also led you to believe this was a good place to go short. So I could see it being very easy to get tripped up right there. And if you did, there's just not much you can do except say, hey, but that'll happen a lot. You'll get your high, and then they'll make one more push and trap people, and then take it exactly where you thought it was going to go to begin with. And you won't see many that look that good that'll fail. you'll get tricked and some will fail and you'll think they look good, but usually there's reasons to stay out of them. And there's actually reasons to this one that I talked about. We're back above the EMA. Um, you're back inside the main channel. This has been a support resistance area and it closed above it. It couldn't push just that one little tick might have made a difference. And maybe on your chart it doesn't look quite like it does mine, but I see reasons, to be thinking short right there. So you had to be considering that, and plus you had the break and the move up to 2 legs up to a new high, and then it just takes that one more. So, but anyway, nice setup to the downside, and even if you did get burned there, you could have made it all back right here, and then some if you kept a runner. And then you get this second entry short. This is like a breakout pullback. Notice, let me just pull this down. There's actually, that was your low, and so it breaks lower, it comes back, and it goes higher there first, and then turns and goes out. So that's a breakout pullback short. It's right off that trend line, which was really easy to find off those first few bars and closes. And again, you'll be thinking of a measured move from here to here, and a measured move similar to this whole leg here, and even a measured move from this leg here, and you can see that gets you almost a perfect measured move, maybe within a tick or so. And usually the ones that are more recent are more accurate. So, and that might have actually led you into staying with this trade and adding on here. It's getting a little risky now but you don't quite have, you had your measured move on the range width right here. That was met. But as far as this measured leg and this bigger picture measured leg, you didn't have that yet. So, and this is a failed second entry long. It's right off the trend line. It broke higher first, went out the bottom. So I like that one. Quick, easy trade. And now you get a break and you're moving to a new low. You don't really get a short setup, although you could consider this a second entry short. I don't think you want to take it. I didn't mark it. There's a little trend line working right up through there, and that's your first close outside of it. So, and you've had that measured move. So I didn't like going short out of that. I think you needed another attempt in a second entry, and you just never get it. It takes off, and you don't want to be going short way down here, but notice this is the double test rule again, and you've kind of got a trend line possibly working up through there. If you drew this off those first two highs and drug them down, you can see it doesn't fit perfectly. It does right here, but it doesn't the way it doesn't off these first couple of bars. You kind of got to bounce there, but you kind of push through. But notice that new low, you tested it once, you tested it again, and it turned up, and then also you got a new high there, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. The ideal is you don't want to go short there. When you see that little trap, just take that to the long side, and that would have got you in a one that runners would have still be going if you wanted to hang on to a runner. So that was the last trade I marked. That was pretty much it up until I started the video. You can see there's some more stuff going on. This one would have been tempting right here, second entry. Notice that new high, first entry, pullback second entry. And you're looking for prices to kind of go higher. You didn't quite get back to the trend line. Maybe this is actually, you can see there how that closed outside. I may have it a little too narrow. That looks a little better. And so this is another reason why you always just double check your, and you see now it catches it. It's always good to recheck your, as you get more price action, to double check and verify your channels and your trends. Especially if you're not too sure, like this one, it was kind of hard to tell exactly what might be right because it pushed through there. Even though you got it off the tops first, it pushed through there when it came down, and so that makes it questionable. But you can see how we closed back in it. Maybe that's a little lower, like so. So anyway, I'll always double check and recheck your lines, especially if you're trading off of them still. If you've got a break and a move down, you don't care what this looks like now. If you're going up, you're looking at the new trend or the new channel. So back out just a little bit where you can see the whole picture. But that's what I saw today. Not much else you can say about it. The only other entry, as I stated, was right here. There was a failed second entry short right there that and that's another thing about this too. That's a failed second entry short, um, and it's way away from the EMA, so you know you're going to snap back. But you might have wanted to take that one too if you were still trading and paying attention. Market blue. I think it's a blue one as well. So this goes back up here. But that's what I saw today. So anyway, not much more you can say about today. In the end, and notice how there's still about 15 minutes to go, and we're still trading back around this yesterday's close, and it's looking like we're going to probably close somewhere near that by the end of the day. So it'll make us almost unchanged for the day. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back to do it again tomorrow before we go into the weekend. But I hope you had a good trading day. Hope you're having a good week, and we'll be back again to do it tomorrow, as I said. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.